know he's the shove-it man.
Alright, clear your bricks out of those ears and listen, because it's time for an episode of Ring of the Hawk. This is the show where we watch back all the matches of a wrestler's short run with a company, and at the end we give them a grade to see if they can do the JOB to the HAWK. The golden punch to the gut here is that it has to be 30 or less matches. Today's guy, I'm not that familiar with, but it's pretty fair to say that he's gone on to form a pretty decent reputation in the wrestling world. His time in AEW is not factored into this final grade today. This is solely based on what he does in TNA. So his current reputation isn't going to help him as we go back to the past, and it's the start of 2017. Today's video was also a Patreon request from Dustin Doucet. If you want to make the Hawk spray, sign up today. Just check with your mum first that it's okay. And of course,
If you know a wrestler that can do the JOB to the HAWK any night, any day, shove their name in the comments, Jack.
Okay, it's Eddie Kingston. He joined TNA on the edge of their extinction. Yes, his timing couldn't have been worse really. He arrived in TNA in November 2016. A really depressing time to be in the company, and he was immediately made to be a masked moron in a faction. And this faction really sucks. This is the Death Crew Council. I actually forgot this even existed until I started making this video. They just hung around for a while attacking jobbers. Match 1, TNA Tag Title match, 3-on-2 handicap. The champions are the Hardy Boys. The Death Crew Council attack them and it's just turned into a match randomly. All three guys are masked, so it's kinda hard to know which one is Eddie Kingston. They look like something out of The Purge. It's just brawling until the referee just throws it out for no reason. One of the council smacked the ref one, I don't blame him. It's debatable if this is an actual match, but the bell did ring to start and it rang again to end it, so I say it counts. The fight continues backstage. One of the guys fights Matt Hardy on a forklift. Matt seems very happy to have removed one of the guy's masks, and then he's kicked off the forklift to end the brawl. This match is ungradable, and that is a first ever on Ring of the Hawk. When it comes to this match, I have no idea how to talk. The DCC is fairly quickly revealed to be James Storm leading Bram and Eddie Kingston. James Storm was obviously a legend in TNA, and Bram has been with them for the last few years, but Kingston? This was the first time we'd seen him in this company. Eddie Kingston unmasked to literally zero crowd reaction. Even the commentators say they don't know who he is. Match 2, 3-on-2 handicap hardcore match. The DCC, Bram, Storm and Kingston. Kingston doesn't even look like he fits in with these two other guys. They take on the team of Jeffrey, Nero Hardy and Eddie Slapnut Edwards. It really doesn't start well for the DCC. Jeff Hardy's in there hitting finishers in the first 20 seconds. Slapnuts crashes into the DCC of a suicide dive, quickly followed by Jeff diving off the top rope to the outside. Kingston tries to fight back, but Slapnuts turns it around and throws him into the corner pole. We next see Kingston choking Edwards on the floor, so I guess the ring pole didn't hurt too much. He weakly throws Slapnuts into the guardrail. He blames it on the cameraman. He screams, "When I say move, you move, boy." We're in the ring properly for the first time. Kingston throws Eddie overhead with a belly to belly and a 2 count. When we come back from an advert break, Kingston is looking a bit dishevelled. He puts Eddie's t-shirt over his head and chops him. That causes Eddie to try and fight back, which is stopped when Kingston grabs his eyelid. Everyone's just doing what they want in this match. Kingston and Bram do a double team suplex to Slappy for another 2. This is one of the slowest matches I've ever seen. Kingston looks exhausted, but he manages to hit an STO on Eddie Edwards. He now has 2 chairs. He screams, "Time to die" at Eddie, but Edwards can never die and he suplexes Kingston on top of the chairs. That did not look comfortable. He pretty much disappears for the rest of the match. Edwards is taken out by Bram with a DDT for a table. James Storm pins Jeff Hardy with a last call superkick. So from that match, I get the vibe that he's going to be a hardcore wrestler. He did take a pretty big bump in his first match, so we've got to take that into account and give him a C. Bit of a mixed bag really. Before the next match, they do a promo with these wacky voiceovers. It's like listening to Kaientai promos back in the day. The crowd cringe and boo. They're soon joined by the champions, the Broken Hardys. Matt doesn't even show up. Kingston does get a chance to speak here, but he has nothing interesting to say, and Jeff Hardy gives him a TNA twist of fate, which is more of a stunner really. People say these are botches when it happens, but it mystifies me because in TNA so many wrestlers took it like a stunner. They can't have all been botches. Anyway, the DCC beat Jeff down and the arena goes dark and Matt appears in the ring. He clears the ring, and Jeff Hardy has a fake eyeball. He looks like the Slash Man from NWA TNA. Match 3 tag title match. Bram and Kingston with James Storm versus the Broken Hardys, the champions. We start with Matt lightly smashing Kingston in the turnbuckles time and time again. It's really not a good start. The Hardys hit him with a double team suplex now. The Hardys smash Bram and Kingston together in the corner and hit them with the poetry in motion. Everyone is just stumbling around like they're drunk and it's in slow motion. After the advert break, the DCC are in control. Kingston chokes Matt in the corner. I'm sorry, there just isn't much to say so far. The only time the DCC can get anything done is when Storm is involved. I was relieved to see Kingston finally do something as he throws Jeff Hardy overhead with a suplex. Bram and Kingston make a wish with Jeff Hardy's leg. Kingston then knocks Jeff down and quickly remembers to pin him, which is the fastest I've seen anyone move in this match. He only gets a 2. It's regular tags and Jeff is completely isolated. Broken Matt does eventually get the tag. He hits Kingston with a clothesline and then he bites all over Kingston's arm. The DCC are taken out of a double clothesline. Hardy channels his inner Raven now with a bulldog clothesline. Side effect from Matt on Kingston and that gets him a 2 count. He wants to finish him with the twist of fate but Bram breaks it up. After some shenanigans, Kingston very nearly puts Matt away with the STO. He doesn't though, and Matt gives him a jawbreaker. Jeff hits him with the stunner and Matt kills him with the twist of fate. That's it, just not enjoyable, incredibly slow and boring. What's the point in having a new faction on the show if they've already lost their first big match? It feels like it's game over for this faction already. I'll give it a D because at least Kingston was more involved than Bram. So far his promo skills are impressing me more than his wrestling, but we're not seeing enough of it. And to be fair, I expected his promos to overshadow his wrestling. Match 4, tag match, Crazy Steve and Abyss with Rosemary take on Bram and Kingston with Storm. Our guy's in there with the much smaller Crazy Steve, so let's see what he can do. Well, he fails on a scoop slam and he's shoved into the corner and hit with a crazy cannonball. Steve is absolutely battering Kingston until Bram makes the save and Kingston drops him on the turnbuckle. The DCC do something nice now, it's a double Alabama slam, not seen that before. Kingston throws Steve out of the ring so Storm's able to cheat. I don't think you need to cheat, cowboy, this guy's already almost dead. Steve's back in the ring and Kingston is just kind of toying with the decay. For some reason, Kingston casually sits on the top rope and then Steve reverses a powerbomb and he sends Bram into Kingston's nutsack. The idiot Abyss gets the tag and he crushes the DCC in the corner. Storm distracts Abyss, who, as established, is an idiot. He runs from the ring and forgets all about the match. Meanwhile, Crazy Steve flies off the top to the outside on the other DCC members. Storm hits Abyss with a plastic bottle, and I guess the match is thrown out for DQ. Kingston is threatening to spit into the camera. Man, this guy really hates cameramen. The fight continues with Steve back body dropping Kingston on the ramp. That's how it ends. This really hasn't been much so far. Kingston just sort of blends in. Apart from that Alabama slam, that was cool. Another D. Match 5. Race for the case. It's literally just a feast or fired match, apart from there's no fired option. 12 guys smashed together like morons in the hope to obtain a random case with a random reward inside. I did manage to see Kingston once trying to get the gold case, but Nero stopped him. Eli Drake gets the red case. Trevor Lee, who makes the girls pee, gets the blue case. And then he dives on everyone, because he's a dick, I guess. It's not going well for the DCC, they're getting thrown around by Mahabali Shira. Crazy Steve also hits a dive to the outside, so it doesn't look like we're winning bird turd in this matchup. Against the run of play, the DCC return and they combine to hit a spike pile driver on Crazy Steve. Jesse Goddard tries to take them out with a springboard, but he immediately botches. He locks Kingston in a crab for about a second and then he's catapulted into Miracle Mike Bennett. Jesse Goddard goes for the gold briefcase, which he promptly drops. What a clumsy bastard this guy is. Bram collects it, and surprisingly, this counts. We've got a case. Not sure if Goddard's dropping it was meant to happen, but who cares? The Hardys capture the 4th and final briefcase. Once again, not much going on, but like in the high impact double team moves, we seem to get about 1 a match, so my advice is, wait for it, and then turn the match off. If you're looking to complete the Eddie Kingston gauntlet, that's the most efficient way. Another D, but I'm going to start marking him down if nothing new happens. Match 6, triple threat tag title match. The champions, the Broken Hardys versus Bram and Kingston with Storm. And also challenging are the Decay. Kingston starts the match with a punch to the gut, very appropriate. He gives Matt a scoop slam and then almost falls over. Bram loses the advantage for his team. Kingston gets the tag later against Crazy Steve. These two always seem to be fighting. Kingston stomps him down in the corner and yells at the referee. Suplex from Kingston on Steve and he's thrown from the ring, so Storm can hit him with a bottle of water. Remember when James Storm used to hit people with glass beer bottles? Yeah, this isn't quite the same thing. Kingston headbutts Crazy Steve and he seems to hurt his own head. Moments later, Steve gives him an awkward Russian leg sweep and Abyss has the tag. Bunch of clotheslines on Kingston. Bram and Kingston manage to fight off the double chokeslam, but they do get a double clothesline. Kingston dumps in his nappy of fear and Jeff Hardy tags him to join the match. We manage to get back into the ring a couple minutes later and Storm is still cheating on the outside. Kingston rains down with punches on Hardy. Once again, Bram loses the advantage for his team and the magical Matt Hardy is in. Kingston gets a nice side effect. The pin is broken up by Crazy Steve. Seconds later, he's taken out the Bulldog clothesline combination. The match starts breaking down with everyone hitting big moves. Everyone is distracted, so Kingston sneaks up on Hardy to hit the STO. It's just a 2. Kingston seems like he's going to dive, which is a bad decision as Crazy Steve hits him with the green mist in the eyes. Matt Hardy pins Kingston with the twist of fate. Just not good, there's no effort going into any of this. He seems like he's going to take all the pins and nothing's been done at this point to build him up. It's an S and I think that's fair at this point. Match 7, 3-on-2 handicap match. All 3 members of the DCC versus Tyrus and Eli Drake. Tyrus gets in Kingston's face and asks him if he owes him child support. Kingston doesn't get a chance to respond on the mic and instead he starts a big brawl. We haven't had many opportunities to hear Kingston speak, which is weird because most people know that's his strongest ability. Tyrus beats him up in the corner as he screams comically of pain. More comical screaming as Kingston is thrown with a suplex. Eli Drake is in now and he hits the Eli Drake elbow. Yeah, I know that's not a very original name. Shut up or I'll smack you one. Kingston grabs his eyelashes and tags out. The match just kind of trundles along. Kingston isn't involved. Eventually, Eli Drake decides he doesn't want to be in the match anymore and he leaves. Tyrus seems like he's going to take all 3 guys out on his own. He throws Kingston overhead with the big suplex, but unfortunately for him, he walks into a last call superkick. Storm helps Kingston make the cover for the 3. I am not exaggerating, how weak and pointless of a character is he in TNA? He doesn't even have a damn finisher, and that is criminal on Ring of the Hawk. It sucks Sonny Siaki's ass, isn't it? Match 8, 3-on-2 handicap, Falls Count Anywhere match. The DCC take on the Decay with Rosemary. Feel like we've already seen this match, but we haven't. This was apparently the match they won from getting the case a couple of matches ago. Yet again, Kingston looks like the weak link of the team. He's always the odd man out. The man who gets taken out of the match for ages. Steve is crazy and he dives on all 3 members of the DCC off a fence. Abyss brings Kingston into the ring. He smells blood on the weak link of the team. He fetches his dumb tacks. Crazy Steve also fetches a barbed wire board. Well, it's not really looking good, is it? Abyss rips Kingston's top apart to expose a flabby physique. Luckily, that wastes enough time for Kingston to fight off the chokeslam. He sits on the top rope, taking too long like an idiot. Rosemary hits him with the mist and Abyss chokeslams him into the dumb tacks. Moments later, the competent members of the DCC hit Abyss with a beer bottle and a superkick, causing Abyss to fall on the barbed wire board. Crazy Steve's still awake, but not for long as Storm and Bram crush him through a table with the spike pile driver. That's over. Kingston is terrible, and he has the physique of a man who's given up on life. He looks like an indie wrestler who won a competition to wrestle for TNA. Why are all his partners booked so much more competently than him? He did nothing and took 1 hardcore spot, and normally I'd bump a wrestler up for a hardcore spot. But I don't want him anywhere near Ring of the Hawk. It wasn't even that impressive a spot anyway. It's an S. Match 9. Well, it's taken all the way to match 9, but we finally have a singles match. Eddie Kingston will be taking on Jesse Goddard, who makes the ladies nodders. Kingston jumps him straight away, but it doesn't seem to help. Kingston scores a running chop in the corner. He tries another one, but Jesse dodges him and drop kicks him. Hip toss from Goddard now. Kingston actually manages to reverse the next move, and he's able to hit a sort of belly-to-belly suplex. Jesse can't fight back from that one either because he gets his eyelashes pulled off. Kingston goes to a bear hug, which doesn't last long, and Goddard scores some knockdowns. Big stinger splash in the corner from Jesse. He climbs the ropes and does a blockbuster for a 2 count. Nice back suplex from Goddard now. Kingston dumps his nappy of fear and tries to run away. Jesse stops him, but Kingston turns it around. We get the STO from Kingston now for a 2 count of his own. Kingston misses a discus back fist and he's almost locked in the crab. Goddard cartwheels away from that one and kicks him in the head. Springboard forearm from Goddard and that is the 3. What am I even watching here? Jesse fucking Goddard was more impressive than Eddie Kingston. This should have been his match, but he can't even beat someone on the lower mid-card. It's an S. It sucked both Sonny Siaki and Solo Sikoi's asses. Match 10, tag match. The Oi 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 guys. Adam Thornstowe and Molester the Legend. Versus Bram and Kingston, who are no longer getting an entrance. So now they are viewed as lesser talents than the 2 Mohawk guys. Kingston is smashed in the corner and collapses on the floor like a moron. Molester hits him with the back elbow and a falling headbutt. The crowd chant DCC for some reason. The Oi 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 guys frantically punch him at the same time to knock him to the floor. Kingston dumps in his nappy of fear and runs away to give Bram the tag. Eddie Kingston decides to randomly stand on the top rope for ages, and when he dives, Molester drops him to the mat. He holds Kingston out just as Adam Thornstowe crashes down on him with a double foot stomp. That's the 3, and this simply put was appalling. Storm comes out and he's disappointed and comes to the ring to ask how they lost to the Oi 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 guys. The crowd chant at Storm to superkick them, but he doesn't do it and they all make up. I don't think I'm being too harsh, this might be one of the worst episodes of Ring of the Hawk of all time. He's not even entertaining. Put in the comments down below what have you liked about him so far. I'm really struggling to find anything positive to say.
No!
It's going to be an S all the way to the finish. Anyway, just a few short weeks later, the Death Crew Council implode. And annoyingly, it's the only time he's been allowed to completely let loose on the mic. He's intense and he's insulting James Storm's son. He complains that Storm promised them opportunities with the DCC and they didn't get any. Storm tells him he wanted men in this group, and if he wanted a bitch, he would have gone on Tinder and swiped right. Kingston spits at him and Storm superkicks him. This promo was so intense that it feels like a proper feud is about to happen. But instead, no match for Kingston for 5 months. Match 11, 20-man gauntlet for the Global Fast Wrestling Championship. He enters 4th. It's an STO on Slapnut Edwards and he also hits a suplex. He now acts like he's going to eliminate Edwards, but come on, no one's buying that. Braxton Sutter, the boy with the beanie, enters the match. He takes Kingston out of a snap slam. The highlight of this one is jobber Richard Justice wanting to work with Kingston, but Kingston rejects him and Justice just stands there doing mini squats. Justice is eliminated, becoming the first man to be thrown out. I thought it was going to be Eddie Kingston. Congo Kong is here and Kingston thinks he can smack him one, which doesn't work, and Kong launches him out of the ring. The match is won by Eli Drake. Congratulations for winning a completely worthless global fast wrestling title.
Oh man,
Such a pointless return. Kingston may as well have stayed at home based on this evidence. He doesn't have any matches in TNA for a year now. Rennie returns. For some reason, Kingston becomes the leader of LAX, although I'm not sure how he has the credentials to lead anyone at this point. Come on TNA, you booked him like a joke for half a year. He can't be taken seriously at this point. He is also now renamed simply King, which is a horrible name by the way. Then he forms a separate group with Homicide and Hernandez called the OGs, I guess because they're old. Match 12, King with Homicide and Hernandez, and he takes on a rooster jobber. He is called Cronus, and no, it's not ECW Cronus. King shakes the jobber's hand and then his fellow OGs jump the jobber. The referee dumps in his nappy of fear and like a complete dick he rings the bell to start the match. One spinning back fist later and it's over. Wow, I waited all this time for a singles win and it was this. At least he cuts a good promo after the match running down Conrad. Why is Hernandez wearing suspenders? Whatever, a D for a good promo. Still terrible. Match 13, final match, Bound for Glory 2018. Wow, he actually got on pay-per-view for the first time. I'm sure that was a massive payday for him at TNA. This one is supposed to be a 6-man hardcore match with no ring mats or turnbuckle covers. Conrad's missing though, so it's actually a handicap match. Hernandez, Homicide and King, the OGs, versus LAX, Ortiz and Santana. They have a big rap group entrance. No idea who the rapper is though, rap has been whacked since about 2015. Maybe even earlier. The nerds in the crowd try to join in with the rap. This entrance is probably longer than the match is going to be. LAX use weapons straight away as the ring already seems to be falling apart. Santana wants to dive but King stops him. They both tease slamming each other on the wooden boards. Then it actually happens as King hits a big Uranagi. The camera cuts away to lessen the impact of the move, I guess. Santana kicks out the pin and says, "You're gonna have to kill me." The match pretty quickly turns in the OG's favour. King's choking Ortiz across the ropes now. And this next moment I had to rewind a few times because I couldn't believe it happened. King hit a suicide dive out the ring. Why not? It's his last match. I think he smashes his face on the crowd barrier at the same time too. He's gone for a while now as Hernandez dominates the ring. King eventually gets back in the ring and he takes a big overhead suplex on the wooden boards. He may have banged his head again. He seems really determined to get back at the Hawk for dumping on all his matches. Later on, King looks like he's about to put Ortiz through a table when the music hits and Conrad is here. He looks like a man in a potato sack. The two faction leaders go head to head. Santana kicks King in the back of the head, which allows Conan to lightly whip him into the table. And then LAX hit King with the street sweeper on the boards for the 3. Where on earth did that match come from? This is what I was expecting from this video, a man who is not necessarily a good wrestler but takes some big bumps to cover up his flaws. Well, I've never had a match come against a run and play like this on Ring of the Hawk. Listen carefully, I'm going to say this really slowly. King finishes his Ring of the Hawk TNA matches on an A.
Oh yeah!
Pretty sure it's also a first day on Ring of the Hawk for a final match. All that's left to do is shove him a final grade to see if he can do the JOB to the HAWK. I'm in a positive mood now, but let's be honest, that run was horrible barring the finish. And a couple of short but good, but also meaningless promos aren't really going to help. This was Giant Gonzalez territory into the last match. Okay, it wasn't actually quite that bad, but it was sure going in the shove it zone. I think the only fair thing to do is to give Kingston a final grade of a D for Ring of the Hawk. But this could have been so much worse without that final match. I would have been left with a tough decision. And if you don't agree with that, I'll take away your vision.